Welcome back to TNLP, the newsletter podcast brought to you by the HazMat Guys. I'm your host, Timmy, here with this week's top hazmat stories from around the U.S. No wasting time with chit chat today. Our first story made national headlines after a chemical odor at a Virginia air traffic control facility led to grounded flights at BWI-Marshall, Washington Dulles, and Reagan National Airports last Friday, March 13th. A strong chemical-like odor from an overheated circuit board affected air traffic controllers in Virginia, prompting an hours-long ground stop at multiple airports and causing a ripple effect of flight delays and cancellations. Baltimore-Washington International Thurgood Marshall Airport was among several airports where a ground stop was in effect since late Friday afternoon until about 8 p.m. A ground delay was then put into effect until at least 12:59 a.m. Saturday, according to the Federal Aviation Administration. Flight delays of more than an hour have been reported. I came to the airport, and when I got here, I got a message saying the flight was delayed again. And then the latest update is it has been delayed almost 3.5 hours, a traveler told WBAL-TV 11 News. On the other side, people are getting off the planes now. They've been sitting on the plane for like 2 hours on the jetway. Now they're telling them to get off and just go buy something to eat, so all the eateries and everything are packed, another traveler told WBAL-TV 11 News. The FAA's website first listed a ground stop, citing an equipment outage. An FAA representative sent a statement to WBAL-TV 11 News at 6 p.m., referring to the Potomac Consolidated Terminal Radar Approach Control, or TRACON. The FAA has temporarily stopped traffic at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, Washington Dulles International Airport, and Baltimore Washington International Airport because of a strong chemical smell at the Potomac TRACON that is impacting some air traffic controllers. Later Friday night, fire officials in Fauquier County, Virginia, said emergency crews were called around 5:46 p.m. for a potential hazardous materials incident at the FAA Center in New Baltimore, Virginia. Officials said dozens of personnel responded, investigated, and found a faulty building monitor that was being worked on by a contractor. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy later posted on X that the source of the strong odor was traced to a circuit board that overheated. It has since been replaced. More than 30 FAA personnel were evaluated before returning to work as the incident was mitigated, fire officials said. Authorities determined the scene to be safe and normal operations resumed. Fauquier County Fire Rescue System Chief Calvin Smith released a statement saying, units responded to a reported potential chemical spill, with personnel experiencing mild symptoms from an odor in the building. A hazmat team from mutual aid partner Prince William County was requested. The hazardous materials team identified a faulty building monitor being worked on by a contractor. Over 30 FAA non-fire department personnel on site were evaluated, with no requiring medical transport. By that time, the damage was done with many flights delayed, and some canceled, as the ground stops had ripple effects across the nation. Other airports along the East Coast, under the same air traffic control center that were also impacted, included Washington Dulles International, Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, Richmond International Airport, Philadelphia International Airport, Charlottesville Albemarle Airport, Manassas Regional Airport, Harry P. Davis Field, and others. Transportation Security Administration lines were still operating at BWI-Marshall through the ground stop. A BWI-Marshall representative told the BAL-TV 11 News at 8 p.m. that flights were resuming. The carriers will work to resume regular operations. Travelers should check with their airlines for updated flight status information, the airport statement said. On a smaller scale, we head to Attleboro, Massachusetts, where a regional hazardous materials team and firefighters responded to an area near the Interstate 295 overpass on Thursday morning after two containers with an unknown dark liquid were found on the sidewalk. The substance was later identified as mineral oil consistent with hydraulic fluid, fire officials said in a statement. At about 10 a.m. Thursday, firefighters responded to Clifton Street under the I-295 overpass for a report of containers found on the sidewalk. When firefighters arrived, they found two 5-gallon containers holding an unknown dark substance, fire officials said. Crews also observed a foam-like material coming from the containers, indicating a possible chemical reaction. As a precaution, a 300-foot section of Clifton Street was closed to traffic while first responders evaluated the scene. Attleboro Fire requested a Tier 1 hazardous materials response. A Massachusetts Department of Fire Services HazMat team arrived on scene at approximately 10:45 a.m. Hazardous materials technicians obtained samples from the containers and tested them to determine the substance. Initial testing confirmed there was no immediate threat to the public, fire officials said. Further analysis determined the fluid to be mineral oil, consistent with hydraulic fluid. When these types of emergencies are reported, there is no immediate way to determine what chemical may be present or how it might react. Attleboro Fire District Chief Michael Maitland said in a statement, "Containers holding unknown substances can pose significant health and fire hazards, depending on their contents," Maitland said. "We take these calls seriously to ensure the safety of the public and first responders." Did you know the entire library of HazMat Guys episode archives is now available on Spotify and other streaming platforms? Use the Spotify in-app Find in Show search feature to search key terms to listen to related episodes. For example, if you searched unknown, like the unknown substance hazmat responders took on under the overpass, you'd get Addressing the Unknown, parts 1 through 4. Give it a shot. Search now on the Spotify mobile app. Concluding our top stories this week, a hazmat investigation finds suspected cause after kids faint at Carmel Sunset Center in California. A hazmat command was established after 3 children fell ill, 2 of who fainted while visiting the Carmel Sunset Center on Tuesday morning. A group of children from Carmel River School were at the center for a rehearsal ahead of Tuesday night's choral festival, when 3 had fainting spells, according to city officials. The entire building was evacuated, and hazmat and ambulance crews were called to the site. Officials say that all 3 kids were alert and responsive in the parking lot before they were transferred to the community hospital of the Monterey Peninsula. The illnesses appear to be caused by carbon monoxide exposure. According to Monterey Fire Division Chief Matt Harris, an investigation led them to believe that carbon monoxide had built up inside part of the building. Investigators believe that some construction equipment outside the building is the likely cause of the buildup. The building was aired out and safe to enter. Authorities detected no hazards after entering the building 2 separate times. The Monterey County Fire Department said that while no further illnesses are likely, it recommended contacting a healthcare professional if anyone in attendance experienced symptoms. Those symptoms include headache, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, and fainting. The school decided to reschedule the choral festival that was planned to take place Tuesday night. That's going to do it for this week's Top Hazmat News. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next week. Timmy, over and out.